When we were entering samadhi, I saw the stars of the whole universe. So that showed that the Surangama Sutra is truly vast and boundless. It really is the comprehensive Buddha Dharma. It's like a combo sandwich. It includes everything. Many dharmas are included in it. So I saw the stars of the universe, so that meant it's really great or vast or huge. So Buddha is wisdom and crown is liberation. The greatest wisdom that can allow liberation, the sutra, the meaning of the great Buddha crown, the sutra. Of the great Buddha crown. So of course there must be causes and conditions why Sakyamuni Buddha expounded or talked about the sutra. Let's first talk about a passage of it. But let me tell all of you, there are many terms inside the sutra that need to be explained in details. Otherwise, if you just follow or read the words literally, or just read the superficial words, then you will not be able to obtain the most profound meanings. So in expounding the sutra, so that you can obtain the ultimate, the most profound, true meanings, and not superficial or based on the words, as if you have just browsed through it and explained it. But instead, I will expound the sutra and penetrate into the profundities. Since the bell has been resounded, the drum has been beaten, and the conch had been blown, I did not know that it was so solemn. And bell and drum and conch accompanied by those. So let me explain a statement first, just one, okay? Thus have I heard. You've heard that. Every sutra starts with "Thus have I heard." Why is it stated as "Thus have I heard"? Now everybody has known, because you've been amidst Buddha Dharma for a long time. You know the meaning of these four words. So before Sakyamuni Buddha entered into parinirvana, Ananda asked Sakyamuni Buddha 4 things. The first, Where will we live in the future? Ananda asked Sakyamuni Buddha, where should we stay at? The second thing, how can we live together with the monks or bhiksus with evil minds? The third, so if Sakyamuni Buddha leaves, who would be our teacher? The fourth, in the future, we will collect the words of Sakyamuni Buddha and to be written as scriptures. How do we start it with? Sakyamuni Buddha replied, first, you need to dwell in the four mindfulness. All people should abide or dwell in the four mindfulness. We talk about the 37 aids to enlightenment, for mindfulness, for right exertions, for transcendent basis, 5 roots, 5 powers, 7 branches of realizations, and the Eightfold Noble Path. The first one is for mindfulness. So in the future, you should abide in the four mindfulness. And what are the four mindfulness? It's wisdom. So he didn't say that you should stay or dwell at Jetavata, or Bamboo Grove Monastery. No, but you have to make your mind to dwell in the four mindfulness. You need to know this first point, that your body is a temple. That's your abode, your dwelling. You have been dwelling inside your body. You don't live in a house or at a place. So four mindfulnesses are, you observe that the body is impure. Our bodies are impure, unclean. You need to be mindful and think this way. There is no one with a clean body. I often say, don't think that a human being is great. He's the president, vice president, a minister, a director, whatever heads. They're all just germs. Even when you're president, you're still just bugs. You're just like a germ, not so big. When we were young, we didn't have such sanitary bathroom. So we have cesspool or septic. We don't have sewage. So when we go to the bathroom, there is no place to sit. You just squat above a hole, and when you look down, there are lots of maggots crawling around. And humans are made of those bugs. Even when you eat the most precious thing, what you excrete is always foul. So human body is very dirty. Look at the 5 organs and all the 6 organs. They are very stinky and bloody. On the surface, it's just a layer of skin, but if you expose it, underneath it, humans come from these germs. So no big deal. So observe that the body is unclean, and observe that all senses and perceptions are suffering. Of course, human life has happiness, but it's very short-lived, and the time for suffering is very long. And afflictions are suffering. If you're afflicted, that's suffering. Therefore, observe that all senses and perceptions are suffering. And when Sakyamuni Buddha gave a Dharma teaching, he's always very clear and stated, because of suffering, people want to cultivate spiritually. So in Sukhavati, the Pure Land, there's the realm of utmost bliss. There is no suffering there. Without the body, there would be no suffering. As soon as you have this physical body, there would be suffering. There would be illness and pain. So therefore, many sufferings. So when the Buddha gave a Dharma teaching, observe that all sensations and perceptions are suffering. When I was young, that was suffering because my school grade was not good. So a rod or rattan rod or even wooden poles beaten upon me. And when I was little, I even skipped classes. I was beaten. And not only run away from classes, school, I also ran away from home. And every time I would go to my best friend, Huang Jingxiong, and stay at his house. He was well-to-do. My family was poor. All I ate was just three sweet potatoes or yams for lunches. And my uniforms were all patched. My underwears were made from flour bags. So when it became like a net when it's worn. So what I ate was 3 pieces of yams. And clothes, they were all worn. So the place where I sat at the behind, they're like spider web. And I stayed at the dormitory. That's not bad. And I live in the closet. Monoki is a closet and furuba is a bathroom. So I slept without a bed in the closet. And for transport, I just relied on my 2 legs to travel. I even got arthritis on my legs, so I couldn't walk easily. So I suffered since youth. Therefore, all sensations and perceptions are suffering. The second in the 4 mindfulnesses. Observe that the mind is impermanent. Of course, they're all impermanent. Do you know how much impermanence there is? The mind is the thoughts, refers to the thoughts. So observe that all sensations, perceptions are suffering. Next is observe that everything has no self. So impermanence and no self. Observe that everything has no intrinsic self. And observe that the mind is impermanent. These are the 4 mindfulnesses. So this wisdom taught by Sakyamuni Buddha. So Dharma, or everything, has no self, and no self is the highest wisdom. Only for a period of time there is self. Before that there is no self. And after that self there is also no self. So only momentarily we have self. Everything can break down. That's impermanence. Dharma does not represent Dharma power, but it represents everything in the whole world. Everything is amidst impermanence and no self, because it can break, including yourself. So gold is very expensive now. Is it $3,000? Has reached $3,000. Back then, can I talk about it? When I was in Taiwan, at the Taiwan Lechang Temple, someone gave me an offering. I asked Dharma Sister Hanifa to collect what? I said, I want to save this money that they may be used in the future. So I save gold, and then after a week, it's too expensive, 1,700. So we haven't bought afterward. But now it's 3,000, double. I bought at 1,200 and 1,000. That's 3 times now, triple. So all this gold belong to whom? Not yours. Think about it. Is it yours? No. Because you will leave the world really soon. This sutra is 3 times the size of Vimalakirti Sutra. And Vimalakirti Sutra, it took 3 years, and this is going to take 9 years. That's no joke. Can I live another 9 years? Yes. Of course you said that. Of course you say yes. Because you are not my body. I know my own body. I was supposed to go at 79. But Golden Mother was compassionate and gave me a few words, and Amitabha gave me extended me for a certain number of years. One said 3 years, another 3 years, one said another 5 years. So, what should we do? So a few years later, all these things are not yours anymore. Houses, cars, money, gold, none, including your own body, is not yours anymore. So you need to be mindful about this no self. Everything has no self. These are the 4 kinds of wisdom Sakyamuni Buddha taught us. Observe that the body is unclean. Observe that all sensations and perceptions are suffering. Observe that the mind is impermanent, and observe that everything has no self. 4 wisdoms. And you need to abide in them in order to understand human life, in order to have wisdom. If you abandon those, then you're just a mundane being. This is the ultimate truth. The truth. That's the truth. It's no other, no others, no other choice, no others. That's the wisdom of human life. Very important. You need to always abide or dwell in this too, in order to attain the wisdom of spiritual cultivation. The second, the answer to the second question, how can we dwell together with the bhiksus with evil minds? Like for us, we have so many bhiksus and bhiksunis. We all gather together. And Ananda asks, if a bhiksu is very wise and evil, how should we handle them? Sakyamuni Buddha just said, keep silent. Just be silent. So silence and ignore. The Buddha did not say to kick them out. How do we get along or deal with them? Just be silent and ignore. The Buddha, Sakyamuni Buddha, was such a great Buddha, and he only taught silence and ignore. So don't say anything and don't be bothered. He had no other ways to handle them. So everyone should be introspective about this. Very soon it will talk about it. Third, his answer, if the Buddha leaves the world, whom should we treat as a teacher? The precepts. During the era of Sakyamuni Buddha, at the beginning, there was no precepts at all. And then later, every time someone did something wrong, then the precepts was created. So every precept was established due to the transgressions of the Sangha back then. So the precepts are becoming more and more. So by abiding by the precepts, then the precepts are your teacher. So the teacher is the precepts. So the bhiksus and bhiksunis should abide by their precepts. So bhiksus have their precepts, bhiksunis have theirs, upasakas, upasikas have their own precepts. And there's even a school emphasizing on the precepts called the Vinaya school. So the precepts are the teacher. You can have attainment only if you keep the precepts. If you violate the precepts, there would be karma, there would be retributions. Therefore, the precepts are the teacher. And last, at the beginning of all sutras, there should be, "Thus have I heard," the statement that this sutra is Ananda, the first and foremost in hearing, had heard personally from Sakyamuni Buddha's teachings. Ananda heard the most scriptures from the Buddha. That's why he was referred to as the one who heard most. I doubt how much he could remember, just one person. How could he remember all the sutras of Sakyamuni Buddha? How could there be such a person? There was no computers. No, there were no computers back then. In India, if you take notes while the guru is teaching, like Sakyamuni Buddha, that's disallowed, that's disrespect in India back then. So you could only listen, but you could not take notes. So how could Ananda remember all this? It's hard to believe. How could he remember so many sutras? Was he the computer of the Buddha? But there's something very strange. There is someone that can have such a memory, great memory. At our temple, there was someone before called Andy. Yeah, his name is also Andy. You told him your birthday many years ago, and you asked him many years ago, later, he still remembers. All mantras, mudras, birthdays, as long as he's told, he would remember them. You can ask him 10 years later, "What is my birthday?" Immediately he would say it without even thinking. So there's such a person. After I knew Andy, then, Andy is the incarnation of Ananda. His brain is like a computer. Whatever you told him, or mantra, it would be imprinted in his brain, and he would never forget it. And even if you ask him years later, he would still say it. He would still remember it. What's the date, time, minute, and second of your birthday? And you only need to tell him once. So there does exist someone with such strong memory. So Ananda perhaps was like that, with strong memory. So thus have I heard. Just the origin of these 4 words meant that I, Ananda, personally heard Sakyamuni Buddha speaking these words at that time. That's the meaning. Thus have I heard. As if I was there at that time hearing Sakyamuni Buddha or listening to Sakyamuni Buddha speaking on this Dharma. So this is something Ananda asked Sakyamuni Buddha at the moment of the Buddha's parinirvana. How should he start the sutras? And Sakyamuni Buddha said, "Thus have I heard." So just these 4 words I have talked for this long. At one time, the Buddha was in the city of Sravasti, residing in the Jeta Grove Monastery. He was accompanied by a great assembly of 1,250 bhiksus. So, at one time, that refers to at that time, and now too, it's at one time. Everything is just one time, not 2 times. So that means at that time, the city of Sravasti. That's a different transliteration in Chinese. So we all know about that. Sakyamuni Buddha had a deep affinity with Sravasti. He was there for about 25 years. Jetavana Monastery, which is Anapindaka Jetavana, which was in the southern part of Sravasti. There was a garden called the Anapindaka Jeta. Why is it called Jeta? Because there is a grove with many. So Anantapindaka is the name of an elder who was very rich, who liked to do charity. And he specializes in helping the desolate ones. So they name him Anantapindaka, meaning the one especially giving to the desolates. Like now there are many elderlies who live by themselves, and sometimes they died in their own room or their own place for months and without any friends or families or children to check on them, and they died, and they were referred to as the desolate or the lonely ones. And he specializes in giving to those people. So in that grove is in the southern part of the Sravasti. So they bought a monastery and a grove in that city and offered it to Sakyamuni Buddha. And Sakyamuni Buddha lived in that grove for 25 years. and it's called the Jetavana Monastery. And Grandmaster had visited that place. And I have visited Sravasti, which is now ruined, and Jetavana. Now it's just an abandoned place. So that's the Anathapindaka Jetavana Monastery. Now do you understand? Is that clear?
这大比丘啊，一般来讲，比丘就是出家人。我们晓得现在。
So bhiksus, the great bhiksus. A bhiksu is an ordained monk, and a bhikshuni is an ordained nun. And a bhiksu, why? We call them the great bhiksus, so it's like the elder. It's like the elder. Like Master Lian Sheng is considered an elder, and who else? Lian Man, Lian Chuan. They're not old, right? They're called the great bhiksu, who abide by the ordination precepts. They have been ordained for a very long time. So bhiksu actually means 起示, so worthy of offering. They don't produce anything. They receive offerings from others, from sentient beings. They are spiritual cultivators and receive offerings from others. And Greek bhiksu refers to the elder. 1,250. So, in each of Sakyamuni Buddha's Dharma teaching, they were always 1,250, assembly of 1,250 Sangha. So they are called close followers, close attendees of the Buddha. 1,255 people. So just to round it up to 1,250. So at that time, in the city of Sravasti at the Jeta Grove, he was accompanied by an assembly of 1,250 great bhiksus, all of whom were great arhats, free from outflows. The highest realm in the Theravada division is arhatship. What is free from outflows or non-leaking? This needs to be explained. Grandmaster often says non-leaking light drops, that relates to the body, but this non-leaking is not related to the body. So in this case, free from outflows or being non-leaking means they have completely exhaust all their afflictions, no more afflictions at all. Anyone here without any afflictions at all? If your mind always abides in the four mindfulness, then you have no afflictions. Because even the body does not belong to you. You have be enlightened to the birthlessness. And since there is no self, so what are you afflicted about? You're afflicted because there is self. And then there's birthlessness. So the world is totally unrelated to you. So what are you afflicted about? You're afflicted that you have no food and drink today. You're afflicted about being ill. You're afflicted about people's words behind your back. You're afflicted about what you're lacking. You're afflicted about having no income. But if you have no self, what are you afflicted about? So the Four Mindfulness teaches you to alleviate your sufferings. So this word's free from outflows or exhausted outflows. If you have outflows, if you're still leaking, that means you still have afflictions. And humans have afflictions, of course. Like a few weeks ago, Grandmaster's face was very itchy, allergic, and also in the arm and legs, itchy. A few places, just the face, arms, and legs. And I tried several medicine, and none of them worked. And then Reverend Lian gave me an ointment. What was it called? Was it from Singapore? No, China. How much is it, a tube? $8.50 a tube. That's cheap. So I use it on the face first, and then my arm, and then my leg, and it recovered. The itch was gone. Use it again. So being itchy is an affliction? Yeah. Because it affected my sleep. I scratched, and then it created some wounds. So I scratched using one feet to the other feet, and then when it still itched, I had to scratch with my hands, so I would wake up. So my sleep was not good. So, and because of that, I had some inflammation on my gums. So itch is also an affliction. So afflictions are always there. They are all great arhats, free from outflows. Arhats belong to the four sexually realms, and in the lesser vehicle, the highest realm is arhatship, and that's the foundation of all the other sexually realms. Don't undermine the lesser vehicles,
也是佛法
because the lesser vehicles or Hinayana is also the foundation of Buddha Dharma. Don't look down upon them.
不受轮回了。
So when you reach arhatship, then you're free from samsara.
已经离开了因缘果报，
So they have been liberated from karma, from causes and conditions. They don't need to be reincarnated again.
无漏就是
They have reached a
没
sagehood.
有烦恼，
So they are non-leaking, which means they have no afflictions. Arhat
对这个意
with
思
no
戒是
affliction.
无漏大阿罗汉，
That's what it means.
还有很多的意义在里面，烦恼在里面。
So leakage or outflows includes affliction,
不受
and also they are not affected by
运的影响，
karma or karmic retributions, and they are unaffected
六尘
by the five aggregates, by the six
都不
senses
受影响，
and the six consciousness. They are unaffected by the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind,
另外呢，还有根，
and the root and the consciousness.
3、6、1、12就12处，
So altogether 12
也就14
placements.
种吧。所以
Together 4 kinds.
眼、耳、鼻、舌、身、意，
So they
全部通通都斩尽了。
cut off
6贼
all the 6 thieves, the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. So the eyes are unaffected by
鼻子
temptations,
不受香
the
味
ears
舌
or
头
the
不受
nose by the
味觉
temptation of fragrance of smell,
身体
taste,
不受
the
触感
tongue, not by taste, and the body, not by
意
touch,
识
and the mind
完全拥有佛的智慧，不受
is
外界
filled
的
with the
所有的
wisdom of the
念头的影
Buddha
响
and unaffected by all the thoughts.
阿罗汉是属于杀六劫，杀
So arhats are considered those who have killed the 6 thieves.
都不受迷惑，
They are unaffected
这就是
or
无漏
untouched by them,
也没烦恼了。
by the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind, and they have no afflictions. That's called without outflows.